Good morning, friends. Friends, I am Vivek Mule. I am the owner of Om Financial Services. Friends, today I am going to show a short presentation on behavioral biases. How do our behavior affect our returns? We have often seen that a particular scheme has given in the last year 20% returns, over the last 5 years, maybe 25% returns or 18% returns, but investor has got only 10, 12, 14% returns. So why does this happen? Why doesn't he get the scheme returns which the scheme has delivered? So after considering some possibilities, we have come to a conclusion that one of the possibility may be the behavioral biases that investors have towards investment. So what are these behavioral biases and what are the different types of these behavioral biases? I just run through a short presentation. Please watch this presentation with complete attention because it's very important in your investing career. So friends, behavioral biases that impact returns. This presentation explores how our psychology can be our biggest obstacle. So, what are behavioral biases? Mental shortcuts or psychological tendencies that influence decision making. And what is the impact? They often lead to irrational financial choices, emotional investing, panic selling, and ultimately lower returns. And this can be one of the reasons. So, what are the key biases which we are covering in this presentation? Confirmation bias, overconfidence bias, anchoring bias, availability heuristic bias, loss aversion, and herd mentality. So, first is confirmation bias. So, by definition, a confirmation bias is we try to only focus on the information that supports our existing beliefs and we try to ignore the contrary evidence. For example, we always want to prefer invest in a scheme that is given past top performing funds are being shortlisted for that. The first schemes which are given very good returns in the past. We ignore whether the fund's current strategy aligns with the market conditions or personal goals. For example, an technology fund might have given very good returns in the past, but in the current scenario, technology might not be the sector for the future. But by going with the past returns, if we select a technology fund to invest, it will come under confirmation bias, and it may not be a good strategy to invest into that. So avoidance strategies look beyond star ratings and past performance. Just don't go by past performance. And also review the fund strategy, risk ratios, consistency, and fund manager's track record. Now we move to the second bias. Second bias is overconfidence bias. Overestimating one's knowledge, skills, or ability to predict movements is the definition of overconfidence bias. What is the example? Investor starts frequently withdrawing from the SIPs or tries to shift between the funds, trying to time the market and harming the long-term compounding. That is why we always say that time in the market is more important than timing the market. Please don't try to time the market. Avoidance strategies, stick to your original investment plan and goals. Friends, as you already know, we have covered in the past that preparing your financial goals by sitting with your advisor is very important. And if you have goals in place, then you should always stick to your investment goals and avoid unnecessary switching and redemption. Accept that market timing rarely works for anyone. The next bias is anchoring bias. Anchoring bias, by definition, is giving too much weight to the first piece of information encountered. Like investors anchored to the fund with lower NAV, assuming it's cheap, ignoring the fund's fundamentals or asset allocation. Only a cheap NAV is not important. What is the fund's fundamentals, investment strategy? What is the asset allocation? That should also be considered. So we have to understand that low NAV is not equal to cheaper or better. We have to focus on the fund's portfolio quality, risk, and stability. Always compare funds holistically, not just by price. The third bias is availability heuristic. What is this availability heuristic bias? It is basing decisions on information that's easily available. For example, investors avoid equity mutual funds after there's a recent market crash because there's so much of news on the channels and in the newspapers. But they ignore the long-term data showing that market always recovers and gives good growth potential. So how to avoid this bias? Don't base your decisions on recent headlines. Study a 5 to 10-year fund performance and market cycles, and always take expert guidance instead of relying solely on the news. Another bias is loss aversion. Friends, investors stick only to government schemes, FDs, equity, avoiding equity mutual fund, resulting in inflation beating returns being sacrificed over the long run. Why does they do that? Because the pain of losing is psychologically twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining. So loss aversion is a bias. You don't want to lose at any cost. But in the result, what happens is you don't even get the return that beats inflation. How to avoid this? You can create a balanced portfolio. You can have equity plus debt. You can get your risk appetite revalued again as to what is your risk appetite. You sit with an advisor and don't react to short-term NAV dips because you be an investor for a long term. So this way you can avoid the loss aversion bias. In herd mentality, this is another bias. We always want to do what others are doing, what your friends are doing, what others are doing, what your colleagues are doing. This is what we like to do. It's called a herd mentality bias. What is the avoidance? Pause for a minute and ask, is this right for your goals? Conduct independent research and always consult a financial advisor, friends, not social media. Because a financial advisor will sit with you and will understand your goals. Social media cannot do that. And conclusion is of all this is behavioral biases subtly yet significantly influence investment returns. And how to avoid them? Awareness is the first step to overcoming them. If you're aware of them, you are won the battle 80%. Actionable strategies is gather diverse information, question assumptions, stay disciplined and informed, and consult financial advisor, mutual fund distributor, consult unbiased experts. So final thought is investing isn't just about numbers, it's about mastering your mind. So friends, we have seen how these biases affect our investment returns. And if we want to be close to getting the returns what the scheme has delivered, we should always avoid these biases, behavioral biases. They are very important to be avoided. And friends, for avoiding this, you need a advisor or a distributor who can sit with you and who can help you, who will walk the path with you and who will help you to avoid these biases, to prepare your financial goals and to help you stick to your financial goals and always track your financial goals and help you achieve those financial goals. Ultimately, it's about investment is all about achieving your financial goals. It is not about what you do in the short run and what you do with your social media, etc., or etc. It is always about, in the end, you should achieve your financial goal. That's very important, friends. And for that, you should always consult your financial advisor who will walk you through the investment journey. So, friends, if you like this video, please like and subscribe to my video here. And also, please subscribe and like to my YouTube channel, friend. This gives us a motivation to come out with more financial knowledge sharing videos, friends. And friends, if you want to invest, prepare your financial goals and achieve them, please trust Vivek Mule, trust mutual funds, and trust home financial services. Thank you, friends. Thank you.